Yo, what's good, family? Hey, this video is gonna be an interesting one because I I had a lot of thought on if I should even do a video talking about this, but I've seen a lot of people giving LeBron James all kinds of grief over the results of what's going on with his I Promise school. So I thought about it and I was like, you know what? I just wanted to give my take on this and let y'all know what was cracking, what was going on. Talk about some of the data, the statistics. I see a lot of people just giving their opinion, talking about this dude be fake reading books and he's not Joe Clark, the fictional principal, and it's just getting really ridiculous. But I wanted to just give my opinion and takes and break it down. If you're new to the channel, I'm Marcus. You're the channel, the Debt Free Dad, where we're talking finances, attorney reactions, all of that good stuff in between. I'm a licensed attorney in a few places, but none of those places amount to me being your attorney. So, not legal or financial advice, just giving my opinion and takes. Now that I got the disclaimer out the way. All right, now a lot of y'all, if y'all been watching this channel for a while, even though I'm an 80s baby, I consider LeBron James to be the GOAT, in my opinion. We're not gonna argue that here. Jordan fans, Kobe fans, we're not gonna argue that. That's just my opinion. But I don't think that anybody would disagree. I don't think that anybody would disagree. It's funny. As soon as I said I consider LeBron the GOAT, I saw like somebody stop watching. My view count went down. But I don't think is even arguable when you talk about what someone has done just from a social impact during their time as a player while they're still active. I mean, LeBron James is probably in like the top three. I mean, you could put like Muhammad Ali above LeBron James. He was really big on social stuff. It was a few NFL players who were kind of out there as far as their social outreach, but nobody is really messing with LeBron James as far as social outreach. Overall, top three. Now, let's put this in perspective. Okay. This dude's foundation, the LeBron James Foundation, has given well over $100 million with regard to charitable donations. So this dude has a commitment to one, whatever it is he believes he's going to talk about, and two, he puts his money where his mouth is. He often funds a lot of projects. So in 2018, he decided to venture into starting a school in his hometown, Akron, Ohio, the I Promise School. Now, we're going to talk about this a little bit because I don't know if y'all know how difficult it is to actually start a school or institution. Isn't that isn't that easy? It requires a lot of funding, a lot of planning, a lot of process development. One of my law school professors actually had an elementary school for some time, and they had this great curriculum. Like I remember looking at the curriculum, like, damn, these kids, they're going to be sharp as hell. But it is a process to get it started. But LeBron James has one thing that a lot of people don't. He has the bag, he has the funding, he has the backing of Nike, he has some of his other sponsors. The breakdown of the cost of the school, it isn't like he's flipping the bill for the entire project. I looked at the numbers. Currently, it's funded by taxpayers, as most schools are, probably about 65 to 70%. The remaining is through LeBron James Foundation. Now, everybody talking about this. Let me go ahead and play the video real quick. Then I'm going to circle back and talk about it. But yeah, I probably could see where I'm going, but let's go ahead and take a look at this video so we can talk about it.
This is 3 News Daily.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to 3 News Daily on this Monday, July 31st. I'm Stephanie Haney. Thank you for being with us for what matters most to you here in Northeast Ohio. And today we start in Akron, where people are worried about student performance at the I Promise School, which is supported by LeBron James. Now, first, you need to note that WKYC Studios has a partnership with the LeBron James Family Foundation and offers resources to give opportunities for I Promise students. Now, I Promise opened in 2018 as part of the Akron Public Schools District, but receives additional funding from the foundation. Last night, there was criticism of the school after state test scores showed none of the now rising eighth graders scored proficient in math. Lydia Esparra reports.
As I promised, the school backed by the LeBron James Family Foundation gets ready for the new year. The Akron School Board reflects on the past year and last Monday's board meeting.
I'm looking at the current seventh graders, and so for 3 years, now, one child passed the test in math, not one, for 3 years.
It is discouraging.
It is discouraging. A chart shows for the 22-23 school year, no seventh grader passed math, and only 1% passed the previous school year.
Has there been discussion or ideas as to why there is such a difference between the results in ELA and in math?
There are several factors, according to Stephanie Rosa for the LeBron James Family Foundation. She tells me the kids at IPS are at the bottom 25 when it comes to learning and in the Akron School District. Most are at risk. She says the pandemic affected the children when it came to learning. They required in-person teaching, a more hands-on approach, and she says they come to school hungry, sometimes homeless, and always in need. But that pandemic is over now, and they are pushing forward, says Rosa. In a statement, the principal, Stephanie Davis, says, when working with students who are achieving below grade level, growth is as important as a measure of progress as proficiency. Rosa adds, while they have been challenged, students are meeting the required benchmarks from where they began. And she adds, because the work requires a long-term commitment, hard work, and a lot of love and care.
Certainly a lot of questions now there.
All right, so I wanted to play that clip so y'all could get an idea of what was going on before I jumped in and talk about it. But this is interesting, okay? This school started in 2018, and they just said in that video, you're looking at kids who are already in the bottom 25th percentile with regard to education. Now, let's put that into context. Somebody said you got to build a company or start an NBA team, and you only can select from the bottom 25 players on any team or the bottom 25% of employees from any organization to build your organization. How long do you think it would take you to build the actual successful franchise, a successful team, a successful organization? It's going to take some time. I think we all can agree that there are three factors generally. There's probably 5 or 6, but generally there's 3 factors that directly contribute to a potential person's success in an academic environment. One, the resources of the school. If you're in a school that got bad resources, no books, no computers, so the resources of the school is number one. I'm saying number one and count with my pinky. That's weird. But the resources of the school is number one. Number 2 is based on the individual, the individual's effort, the individual's skill set, the individual's hustle, hard work game. And the third thing is what's going on with those persons in that school outside of school, the family environment, where they come from. So LeBron James can really only impact one of those things. This dude isn't the teacher. He isn't establishing the curriculum. He hires people to put people in place to do it. The other thing that's important, because everybody's trying to knock this dude down, like, yo, he's actually doing something to help people. But the other thing that's important, and there's a documentary that I think came out in 2020 about LeBron James School, growth versus proficiency. You can grow in your overall performance, but not yet be at a level that's proficient based on what the state wants or what your job wants or what the team wants. these students were in the 90th percentile in growth. So it's not like they continue to have low scores. Their scores are actually improving, but their scores aren't improving enough to where they meet the state mandated proficiency level. That's point number one. Another point that I wanted to make, I said that's point number one like 7 times. But another point that I wanted to make is the school also does things that are completely outside of just focusing on the education of the kids. Not saying that they don't put all of their effort in it, but in addition to the free meal program, they have job placements for the kids' parents who attend this school. Parents who need assistance with job placement, affordable housing that they're about to build close to this school, that goes to show you that one of those three prongs we talked about: family, facilities, and individual. Those are the three things that got to be working in order for you to have a student who's going to maximize success. When you need job placement, when you need affordable housing near the school for the parents, it goes to show you that, hey, we know what it is. This school was founded for at-risk individuals. That home component is still something that is going to require a lot of attention. So I don't know. I just find it odd that I've seen so many black people on so many platforms like just couldn't wait to throw rocks at this dude for seeing something fail. But I don't know. I just couldn't relate. For me, he's doing something. He's putting his money where his mouth is. All the people complaining. When was the last time they volunteered to do some shit for anybody? Yeah, people don't volunteer to do anything. So this dude is putting his money where his mouth is, and we got to understand it's going to take more than 5 years to turn this thing around. A part of being successful is a culture and a mindset. And culture isn't created in order to build up a culture. It takes time. It takes years. If you look at a team like the Golden State Warriors, the San Antonio Spurs with Greg Popovich, and these teams that are always successful, they say, "Oh, they build a culture. They build a culture." Very rarely does an individual come in the culture of a team or organization change immediately. That's not how it happens. Like I've seen this 1,000 times in sports. I've seen it 1,000 times in business. You get a new agency head and a new CEO in. They have a vision for what they want the culture to be, but then they have to implement things so that their organization can grow into that culture. And the first thing is identifying where you're weak at. So it's a whole process. Everybody who out there throwing stones at this dude, cracking jokes, I think is just kind of sad actually that this dude is actually doing something productive. He's trying to make it work. And even if they aren't proficient at the state level, or whatever the state mandates for them and their proficiency metrics, these dudes are in the 92nd or 90th percentile as far as growth. So there definitely is some improvement. And I'm not saying that, oh, they'll never get there. Of course, they'll end up getting where they want these students to be. But right now is the process of building that culture, building that consistency. And then the other thing, let's just be honest. Let's take it out of the context of this school. How measurable is a metric for standardized tests? If if we go by what standardized tests said, especially when you're in elementary school or high school, I would probably be a barber right now. Not that there's nothing wrong with being a barber. I wish I knew how to give myself a fade without making it uneven. But those tests aren't indicative of a person's ability. They're indicative of a person's ability to perform on a standardized test, which are two different things. And I don't know if I ever told this story on here, but like when it comes to studying for something, I don't really have to study hard. I don't have a photographic memory, but it's damn close. And so, for studying for college or law school, that was not really that complicated for me. But I was never a real great standardized test taker. I remember when I was taking the LSAT to go to law school, I was a little arrogant because school was easy. So I took the test and I did terrible on the test. I was like, man, I sucked on that test. The second time I had to actually study and put a bunch of effort in. I think I paid like a couple of racks to actually take a course, and I did great the first time. But back in my day, when you take the LSAT to get into law school, they took the average of your two scores, not the highest scores. If they would have took the highest score, I could have went to like Harvard. I could have went to like Harvard or something. But they took the average back in the day, and so when I got into law school, I didn't even get straight into law school. Like, okay, yeah, this dude's an outstanding candidate. Nah, they looked at my stuff and was like, I don't know. You got to come down here and show us something or prove us something. So they had an entire program. It was called the Performance Based Admissions Program, and it would be for people who you may have had a high ass GPA like me. Like my undergrad GPA was crazy, but my LSAT score wasn't crazy. It was crazy in a negative way. Or it might be vice versa. You have a high standardized LSAT score, but your GPA was low. So they would say, you know what? We're going to have these students come down for a couple of weeks. We're going to flip the bill for their housing and room and board, which is dope. And they flipped the bill for a housing, room, and board. And you went down there for 2 weeks, and you were essentially in two classes. It was a property class, and it was a civil law torts class that you had to take. And they worked the hell out you. They gave you assignments, tests, writing exams. It was an oral argument you had to do. It wasn't 2 weeks of chilling, having a good time, lollygagging around. It was 2 weeks of busting your ass, going down there. And if you did good, you got into the law school. So, as far as standardized tests go, I was never really a great standardized test guy. I got better as I got older, but when I was younger, I was really terrible at standardized tests. And it was like it would be so consistent. Like I would have high grades in school, but when like the proficiency test came out, I was scoring mad low. I mean, like they were like, "What's wrong with this dude? Can he not see or something? Is he putting the wrong answers on the paper?" I can remember in elementary school filling out the little bubbles. They was like, "Yo, here, take this ruler to make sure you put in the right answer in the right spot." Because I was just trying to fly through that joint. So I think that LeBron is catching too much flack, and mainly I think it's coming from people who hate us. People talking about, "Oh, this dude ain't as smart as everybody think he is." How many people have played in the NBA? Thousands of people have played in the National Basketball Association, and there are only 3 billionaires. Thousands of people have played in the NBA. Thousands of people are in the Hall of Fame. Thousands of people have made hundreds of millions of dollars in the NBA. There's only 3 billionaires who have ever played in the NBA. Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan, and LeBron James. You don't become a billionaire by being a dumbass, okay? So I think that he's on the right track. I know that he's not gonna get discouraged by this. I know if anything, LeBron James kind of got an attitude like, okay, I'm gonna show y'all. But I think he's gonna continue to pour resources in. And I think the biggest thing though that's gonna change this situation is as they implement programs to continue to improve the family structure. If the kids are getting 6, 7.5 hours of great education, but they got to go home and there's no damn lights on. You got to go home and there's no dinner. The only meal they eating is at school. That's it's gonna make for a bad environment. Now I know a lot of people watching this probably don't, but that's why like people in DC, they give free breakfast to all the students, and people's like, man, why they give free breakfast to all the students? Why they give free meals to all the students? Because for a lot of kids, they said it in this video. Some of those students are homeless; they don't have a place to stay. I've seen that. I can remember as a defense attorney, I saw a case on my desk, and I was like, man, what? They gave this guy a misdemeanor citation. They gave a kid a misdemeanor citation for stealing school lunch. I was like, you got to be kidding me. I said, whoever the cop was who wrote this didn't have any better. It was probably somebody out there committing a murder. He could have been out putting his time to good use. But however bad people have it at home, there's some people who got it really bad. They don't got no lights to see what they doing. They don't got no internet, no food. They go home. It's arguing. It could be abuse. So I think that it's going to succeed. I think the scores are going to go up. I think the problem is, like I said, it's three proponents, and I think two of them are good. I think the kids that want to be there actually want to be there and do well. In that video, it said that the attendance for that school is like in the 88th, almost 90th percentile, which is higher than any school in the actual Akron, which is a big deal because kids are going to school, parents are going to school. So I think the kids definitely want it. I know that they got the state of the art facilities and equipment to make it happen. I think just that third prong is where things need to tighten up at. Implementing those programs to put some stability in the home and the parents reinforcing what's going on at school. If I give somebody 7 hours of good instruction, I mean, you still got a bunch of time in the day to not do that shit, to ignore it, to forget it because you got more problems going on. But I think as they do the affordable housing, as they keep working with the job placement program, I think that all that stuff is going to end up making it better. I mean, hey, I'm always going to salute LeBron, even if the results don't come back. He's definitely doing the right thing, and everybody who complaining about it ain't doing shit in the first place. So let's just, keep it a buck. And it's going to be interesting because I would like to see, and I tried to find it, but if I see it, if I could find it, I'll post it so people could look at it. But I would like to see the statistics for Jalen Rose's school because his school has been around a lot longer. And I would like to see how the students at his school are performing because I'm not sure, but I would guess that if Jalen Rose School was targeted for at-risk youth, it probably was a little bit of a time period before they were able to get people up to get them proficient at what the state level was. But we got to remember there's a difference between achievement and growth and proficiency. Those kids at that school were in the 90th percentile in growth. So their scores are going up. They just aren't where the state wants them to be. And it's going to be interesting because, we'll be able to look back years later and see what those kids are doing. But I don't think that current position of, oh, nobody's ever passed the standardized math tests. You know how many standardized math tests I sucked on in middle school and elementary school? Yeah. If the home environment is not right, that will definitely pull on the academics. Yeah, that's hard. I mean, and that's the thing. Everybody like, oh man, you could pull yourself up from your bootstraps. And most people like I don't know, like most people don't really know what it's like. It's people out there who grow up in hard environments. Like I don't think my environment was that sweet, but it's people who grow up in stuff way worse than I grew up in. Like and those are the people who they building this school off of. And so I think that was a good analogy. That's like you building a team and you only could select from the bottom 25% of players to build your team. Here, you got this franchise. You need to make this franchise successful, but you can only get the bottom 25% of players in the league to build your team. You're not gonna really have a bunch of superstars. You're not really gonna have people who have that ethic and drive that you want. And that's something that you got to build over time. So, yo, salute the LeBron James, all the haters, Candace Owens, the fat guy who used to be the sports broadcaster. I don't know. They just out there sounding crazy. Y'all show me what y'all doing and how y'all helping. I'm always gonna salute somebody who trying to help. And that's the name of the game. Just because you try to help, that don't mean all the time it's gonna work out how everybody else intends this to be. But I guarantee you, all of those kids at that school, they're in a better position being at that school than they probably would have been if they were somewhere else. That's just my thoughts. That's my take. I appreciate y'all tuning in. Y'all have a good one. Be blessed. Peace. Thanks too for everybody who shouted out something in the comment. I love y'all.